episode. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on the cast. Now for the opener. Hello to all the Geek Enthusiasts and Nerd Aficionados. Mess 5150 here for the All Things Nerd podcast, episode 100. It is the 100th episode. For many of you, like, what? That's who cares? You can stream 100 days. That's true. That's true. But this is 3 years of getting to episode 100. So it's not. We don't stream all the stinking time. Although we do pretty much, because there is a lot of podcasts that we have here on Twitch, or that you can listen to over on malice-corp.com, which is what this podcast is brought to you by. The website, once again, written down below, www.malice-corp.com. Go check us out over there. If you're purchasing anything from Amazon, click on the Amazon link while you're there, and it helps us out, and you still get the stuff you're looking for. So once again, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being here, and thank you for coming back for the 100th episode. We decided we wanted to do something big, and I was racking my brain over it, like, what do I do? What do I do? And then the biggest nerd thing happened in a long time this past weekend. A $1 billion take-in movie, Avengers Endgame, came out, and we decided, hey, we can't spoil it too early. We'll give people a week, and then we're going to get on, and we're just going to talk about the movie, about the MCU impact over the last decade, about where we think Phase 4 is going to go, and then we're going to have a nerd fight to make our picks of who we think the best Marvel Cinematic Universe character is, and then have you guys vote and decide who the winner of those picks are. So let's talk about who's here on the cast with me right now. You have me, Mess5150, also joining me back after quite a while, but we're always glad to see him. We always like when he's here. The Big Papa Matt rejoins us on the cast.
Aw, you guys, what's up? How you doing, sir? Good to see everybody. Glad to be in the chair, man. I haven't really left this chair. I just stopped turning on the camera mostly is what happened. So I just kept talking, just no one was recording.
You've just been sitting there waiting for us to hit.
Yeah, I was just waiting for a link to show up so I could just keep talking to you guys. That's all.
Oh my God, I hope you were recording, because I'd love to see like the weeks of randomness that come up in conversation.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. It wasn't good for anybody.
Yeah, and of course not. Indiana Jane says she's feeling left out. She is not left out. She is here on the chat, and she says she's a big fan. So yeah, we are a big fan of her. We thank her for coming and joining us for the live stream on tonight's cast. Also joining us right now on the cast, we have Mind Freak from the Smack Talk cast and from the Game of Thrones reaction cast. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Finally being able to actually go in depth and talk about how amazing Avengers Endgame was with fellow nerd enthusiasts like myself. So it's going to be a fun show tonight. I'm excited.
Yeah.
What's up, Ruru, in the chat as well.
Yep.
And a beard master
in there too. Let's talk spoilers. He knows what he's here for.
Yeah. Oh man.
This time we can't get trolled. Nobody can come in here and try and troll who dies and whatnot, because we're already going to be talking about it. Also on the cast right now, Masonic Vader's there as well. How are you, sir?
I am super well, because you can't talk Avengers Endgame to a 9-year-old. It just doesn't have the same impact. So, yeah. Let's do this. And hello to Ruru 2. Thank you for joining again another week. Woohoo!
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on who's watching our Twitch stream right now. It might be a bunch of 9-year-olds outside of the people that are chatting.
America's Ask is the only one that could take the spoilers, though, Ruru. America's Ask the only one that could take it.
All right, and we may have two others joining us later in the cast. One is trying to stay away from spoilers because she hasn't seen it yet, so she might join in to talk about MCU impact and join in on the nerd fight. The other one is just trying to get the house to settle down so that he can get on cast. So we may have the siblings join us on the cast, but for now, so usually we like to start off the show with what we've been geeking out on, but clearly abundantly most geek outs are going to be either Avengers Endgame or Game of Thrones, and that's what we're here for, is Avengers Endgame. So the thing I want to start with is, how many times has everybody seen it so far, and what day did you go and see it? So Big Papa Matt, what about you?
You're gonna have to ask that one more time.
how many times have you seen Avengers Endgame so far, and what day did you see it? Like, how quickly were you made sure to see it?
I was in there. My showing was at 6:30 on Thursday night before it released on Friday, and I've only seen it once since. So
okay, so you're gonna have just major everybody.
well, there was a lot to soak up.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'm gonna have a lot of a differing opinion than most people on the show. Honestly, we'll see though. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll
see. We'll see. Polyfuse in the chat room says seen it one time Thursday it came out. Bearded Master's seen it twice. At the first airing was Thursday night and 10:45 night at 10:45. Rue 2 Sunday and Tuesday. And Indiana Jane saw it Friday morning because waited for reserved seats. Mind Freak, how many times have you seen it? When did you see it?
Seen it twice. First time I got a last minute ticket for 10:15 Thursday night, 3D, and it wasn't in the front. Like it was like I was looking everywhere, just because I was originally going to go Thursday or Friday morning. But I found one Thursday night, right smack dab in the center of the theater, one seat. I'm like, I'm taking it.
Hopefully you weren't like sitting like.
Oh no! These were like lounge chairs. So I'm nice. I had my feet up, had a little tray of food in front of me. I was good.
And then Sonamaku's making a good comment in the chat room. So guys, respond if you can. But was it better the second time for those who saw it twice? What about you, Masonic Vader? How many times have you seen it? When did you first see it?
I've only seen it the once so far. I will see it again. But I did see it Friday morning at the glorious time of 6 a.m. There's no need to have breakfast or coffee or anything. You go straight to the movies and have a big-ass thing of popcorn, soda, and you don't start drinking anything until you get to the movie because you don't want to go halfway in between.
Yeah, with a 3-hour-long film.
Yeah, no colostomy bags or diapers or anything whatsoever.
Okay, so when you guys saw it, favorite moments? Did we'll go down the line. Big Papa Matt. Okay, let's talk about what we like, if we like the film or not first, of course. So, Big Papa Matt, you said you're gonna have a different take than other people. I want to know what your take is on the film.
Good flick, not great flick.
Really?
I mean, I don't want to dive in too much too fast here, but
this is full on spoilers here. So guys, spoilers. Warning is given evident. There's no diving in too fast. You can talk about anything and everything. So if you don't want to know anything about it, go watch the film, come back, listen to this later. You can watch it on YouTube. You can listen to it on Stitcher, on iTunes, on Google, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We are there. Just look up All Things Nerd. Make sure to preface that with Malice Corp, All Things Nerd, so that you don't get stuck listening to somebody else's cast that was using that name, trying to use that name. So, just to clarify. But yeah, so no, dive in. Why good, not great?
Good, not great. First biggest thing for me is like we had all this hype for Captain Marvel. We went and saw a movie starring her right before this film came out. And she spent her time, as Rocket would say, in space getting a new haircut. I mean, she was just nowhere to be seen. When she did show up, I did not feel like she was being used to the best of her abilities, obviously. I mean, she's supposed to be the character that is the end-all, be-all of this universe, and yet she was getting handled for probably 3/4 of the time she was on screen. So I just wasn't a big fan of her usage. I liked a lot of the fan service though stuff. The fan service stuff is where it was at. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There was tears when Peter Parker showed up. I love when Pepper Potts threw on the suit. Fat Thor is my new cosplay for San Diego Comic-Con. Like,
you gotta do the Button Lady first.
Well, Button Lady's gonna be on Walking Dead Day, and then Fat Thor is another day.
Wait. Could we do Fat Thor Button Lady?
No, you can't cross over that much. You can't cross over that. That's just that would hurt the universes. There'd be a time-space continuum issue in Hall H. And also the person who's helped me probably make my cosplays would hate me for sure. So I can't put that much work on Indiana Jane. So
A couple comments with that. Bearded Master said he hated the allergens that were being pumped into the vents, and somebody was cutting onions when he was watching.
yeah, I mean, you know what? If you're not man enough to admit that when Peter Parker showed up, you spouted some tears, that's on you, Bearded Master. It's okay though. Just be there with us. Just be there with us.
And Polyfuse is like, it's an Avenger movie, not a Captain Marvel movie. Which, yeah, I do get your point. Like we were expecting more of Captain Marvel in this film because they were basically replacing Adam Warlock with Captain Marvel, that she was going to be the big one to save everything.
Well, my thing is, like, they saved her this whole time, and she's not a big part of the movie, which was great. Honestly, I loved all the time travel stuff, was pretty solid for the most part, except towards the end. I had a couple issues with the Cap stuff. But my thing is just like, when she does finally show up, why is she getting handled? Like, why is she getting beat up by like scrubs? Yeah, there was no reason for her. There's only one thing should have hurt her, and that's when Thanos ripped out that Power Stone and smashed her in the face. Like, that was awesome. That was a great moment.
Well, it kind of showed that when he did
no other time that she got even like phased in that whole fight.
Yeah, that's true, because she showed how strong she was when she went through Thanos' ship and just tore it to smithereens in like 10 seconds. And then when Thanos tried to do the headbutt like he did to Cap, and she just stared at him.
Heck yeah, Indiana Jane. Wrong person got the shield. Hashtag it. Hashtag it.
That's the way the comic goes. I mean, I'll get to that. I have a thought on that.
We talked about this one, mess. We have
no. I have a thought after watching it the second time. I saw where they the way they got around it. So,
it's never enough Polyfuse.
Masonic Vader, what were your thoughts on what ranking or what do you think of the film? And same thing that Big Papa Matt just did.
I actually thought it was a very, very good movie, borderline great. And the reason why I like it is because they had to go back and tell some stuff. For example, they had to go back and talk about Hawkeye because Hawkeye wasn't in the last movie. So it was nice how they set that up and what happened to him and what was going on with him. I like the fact that they didn't go straight into getting in the big old fights and everything. They were establishing what's happened afterwards and kind of like what's gone on with the world, which I liked because, a lot of times with the Marvel movies, they always start off with some kind of action for the most part at the beginning. Sentimental parts, man, is, when I watched the movie, when I saw Cap grab Mjolnir, that was awesome. Where you were talking about how there wasn't enough Captain Marvel, I get it, but at the same time, this was kind of like the tribute movie. This was hey, we're cutting off the last of the first three phases in a sense. They're giving closure to certain characters. Albeit Iron Man and Cap. That was really a transition. That's the reason why they didn't do anything at the end as far as a cutscene or anything, because it leaves it open for them to be able to. I mean, we know the lineup for what movies they're going to do, but now it allows them to kind of like give it that separation between phases 1 through 3 with the original, and then going into the new era. Cool thing is though, they're not going to ditch all the original guys. From what I've been reading on. Thor, it sounds like Chris Hemsworth will be tagging along and putting parts in here and there. And technically, I don't know. It sounds like they're going to try to spreckle some of the originals here and there, not totally cut them loose. But all in all, man,
Hemsworth has said he is now willing to keep playing this character as long as the MCU wants to use him.
Absolutely,
and that's a completely different mindset from him than what he was after Thor: The Dark World, where it was. That movie did so lackluster, and then Thor 1 was kind of getting ripped apart compared to the other MCU films, that he was the first one to be like, I'm ready to move on. I have other projects I want to do and stuff like that. Now he's fully into it. And I think it's because of what Taika did with him in Ragnarok, made the character fun for him to play. And that's why when I was reading into it, the whole reason that we get the arc with Thor that we got, where he's Fat Thor and the comedy and everything, is strictly because of Ragnarok. They had actually a different story written for Thor. And when they saw what Taika did with him, they're like, oh, we gotta keep using this same type of comedy mentality with them. And I think that was one of the strongest parts of the film.
Well, I feel like, and I think that's a great strong part. I feel like they're using Thor a little bit too much as the comedic guy. There's a lot of comedic people in the Avengers, but I'm glad that you could really tell that Taika had some influence in that portion because it was all his comedy style, which was great. Ruru, I get it. Bucky doesn't. You may not deserve the Cap shield because he kills Tony Dad, but I think that's why he deserves it more because then he's carrying the pain of those deaths along with him as he fights for America. Just saying.
And before we get into this debate, let me ask Mind Freak really quick. So, what do you think of the film?
I absolutely loved it. Just a great way to end out, the first 10 years of the MCU with everything. I thoroughly enjoyed it from the beginning to the end. And yeah, I can, with I'm gonna have to disagree with Big Papa Matt over there. Them using Thor too much comically, I think it's brilliant, and especially what they're setting up with the whole like as Guardians of the Galaxy. Hopefully, James Gunn's script does kind of include what happens with Endgame, so that way Thor is in Guardians 3, because that adding him in Guardians 3 is just going to make it even better than it already is.
I think it's called Asgardians, right?
Yeah.
No, there's two. There's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I got you.
Which is a completely separate comic, which actually.
Okay, quit trying to be so technical. It was a joke.
Hey.
As we don't know this already.
This ain't Wednesday nights, bro. Marty's not here to back you up.
I don't need Marty's backup, dude.
Yeah, exactly, because you can't do anything.
First debate that has been brought up in the chat room has been, did the right person get Cap's shield at the end? As we know, Cap grows old and gives his shield to Falcon, and the debate in there is whether it should have been the Falcon that got it or if it should have been Bucky that got it. Now give your thoughts.
Well, so I think I understand why they did it that way. It should be Bucky. Technically Peggy, but Bucky would be the person to go with because that would be after. But from what I've read and what I've seen in the world, the reason why they didn't go with the Bucky scenario and everything is because they have plans for him through Disney Plus and whatever. I don't think they want to give him the Cap shield and have him going back and forth between movies.
Disney Plus show is him and Falcon, so that nulls and voids that type of argument.
Okay, well,
that show.
That's what I saw, but I mean, I get why they gave it to Falcon though, because Falcon's, I believe he's the current Cap now.
Yes,
and they want to try to keep it up to speed and everything. Does it suck that they don't give it to Bucky? Hell yeah, I'd like to see Bucky rolling around with the shield and the freaking arm at the same time. But I guess they're trying to kind of move forward a little bit to try to keep up with the comic books.
What do you think, Big Papa Matt?
So I just disagree. I think that is Bucky's redemption, right? Him going and using that shield and making a name for himself as Cap and not letting that moniker die. So I also put on my Marvel Studios hat for you, Wes. That was for you, sir. These are our wonderful Hall 8 chats.
Our Hall 8 chats, yes. I went and got mine and put it on. So
mine still has the tag on it.
If you guys don't notice, and if you're not watching this cast on YouTube or Twitch, you won't see this as well. But my shirt, I'm dressing classy tonight because it's the 100th episode. Nice button-up shirt, but it's actually all the logos. So you have your Captain America shield, you have your fist for Hulk, you've got Mjolnir for Thor, Iron Man. So I'm actually wearing an Avengers nice button-up shirt.
Are you gonna stand up and start twirling it around and everything and showing your catwalk? Yeah, do your catwalk, dude.
No.
Hey, look, shut up, man. We got another person on the chat. Who is that? That is AA Ron. What's up, dude?
Also, I just have to say that why does Cap get to break all the rules of time travel stuff when they said you can't do these things, you can't do that stuff, and then all of a sudden he shows up old?
Because it's Captain America, and because that makes it so that the one theory that I had at the end of Infinity War came true, and I was like, nailed it. I said would be the perfect ending for him. AA Ron joins us in on the cast. How are you, sir?
Fabulous. How are you guys?
Good. So, how many times have you seen the film, and when was the first time you saw it?
Saw it Saturday morning with my kids, and then I saw it Sunday morning again by myself. I'm probably gonna go see it again tomorrow.
So, rating wise, how would you say this film is? Good, great, okay, versus other things, and why?
I would say good as just a film for it by itself. Encapsulated by itself, it's a good film. As a part of the larger whole, it's magnificent. It was the perfect way to tie all of the loose ends, and it was masterfully done by the Russo brothers.
Okay, I get that. Okay, so on the debate of did Falcon was it Falcon that should have gotten the shield? The thing I noticed when I watched it the second time, it goes to Bucky first, because when he's handing it to Falcon, when Cap's like, the shield, there's this for you, you know, the first thing Falcon does is he looks over at Winter Soldier. He looks at Bucky, and Bucky's the one that gives the head nod to like take it. So Falcon gets Bucky's approval to grab it first. So even the Falcon thought that Bucky should have gotten it. And that's why I was like, I'm okay with this now, because they wrote that in, that Bucky was the one giving his approval that Falcon should take the shield.
I can swing with that. I mean, because honestly, I think Sam should have gotten in the first place. I like the rapport that he had built with Cap over the several movies that they were in together. And I think that if they choose to use him in the films as Captain America, I think he's going to be fantastic. With the acting chops that he's built.
Oh yeah, they're totally going to use.
And Indiana Jones makes the point, Falcon is just so boring. They have done nothing to build him as a character. His strongest character moments are with Winter Soldier, with Captain America, not him by himself. But it was correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. From my understanding, from what I remember, in the comics, even Falcon wasn't that strong of a character. It wasn't until he took on the mantle of Captain America that he actually became a much better character in the comics.
Well, that's just when he knew he was starting to be given like A+ writers as well. Like that's the other thing you got to think about too. When all of a sudden he's taking on that mantle, all of a sudden he's getting those AAA style writers with him. So I wouldn't say that he never had a good story or anything like that in the comics. What I will say though is his character definitely stepped up to a whole nother level, because then he started getting, Marvel assets placed to him more than anything. So that's just where I'm going to put that. So I don't think that he wasn't a well done character and had a great following. It's just when you take over Captain America's shield in the Marvel universe, you're going to have a whole new world opening up to you in different stories and artists and writers and things like that you're never going to get without it. So
yeah, the only thing that Anthony Mackie, I think, is a great actor. He's been doing a lot of other stuff and everything, but his beard bugs me because the way it's trimmed, it makes his face look a lot more weird on his chin. So I'm hoping he fills that out a little bit.
So that's what you find the bust out on him, is the beard, huh?
Beard.
All right.
Beard.
I agree with what Bearded Master says in the chat room. Me personally, seeing Falcon, seeing Mackie kind of progress in the Marvel cinema line and stuff, I liked what they've done with his character, and I like the way that they've set him up for it. He was very low key when he first came in, and slowly but surely built him up to a point where he's just, Infinity War. He's flying over, blowing people up, talking about what do they call it? Red. What does he call his little drones? Red
Wing.
Thank you, Red Wing. Yeah, how they introduced Red Wing and everything like that.
Robin
It's cool. I really like how they built him up. I'm excited to see what they do with him in the next Captain America movie. I want to see how it's going to progress and what they're going to, and the combination of the wings with the shield is going to be awesome.
I know, because look at how far he's come. I mean, he started off as a sidekick, and then the only solo appearance that he ever got was in Ant-Man, where he was reduced to just a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next movie that you see him in, he is kicking all kinds of freaking mess all over the place, and it just progressed from there. So yeah, like Matt said, when you take over that mantle, you're gonna get the assets, you're gonna get the storylines, you're gonna get the better opportunities to shine, and I think Mackie's ready for it, and I think he's gonna be awesome with it.
Indiana Jane brings up a great point. M'Baku, not enough M'Baku. Speaking of people who didn't get enough screen time.
Oh, absolutely. I agree on that. Did you see him at all?
Yeah, he rolled
No,
in and he said he was
yeah.
yelling. Are you kidding me? He was in
I
there
didn't see
chanting
him.
when he came through the portals.
Well, when the chanting was happening, but I didn't see him in that crowd. Because he didn't walk in with the three mains. He didn't walk with Okoye and Shiri and
Black Panther.
yeah.
No, he came in with the army.
Yeah, he came in with the armies. He came in where he was supposed.
I figured he was in the army, but I didn't see him.
Leading actual troops like a chant.
There was just so many people coming in at that point, though, that it was hard to see. Like, what I didn't notice until the second time watching it was Korg's.
He was in
little,
there.
What's his name? The little pink guy.
Yeah.
He was there in the battle too, but he's like on like a robot body. So standing next to Korg with the blades. And I didn't notice that until the second time watching it. I was like, holy crap, he's got like a robot body to fight now. So
you guys caught Howard the Duck in the battle, right? Too.
Yeah, Howard the Duck was in there.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
it was a quick. It was a quick. He was
That's
right
too
in.
bad.
Yeah, it was just a
Let's
small.
move on. No one wants to watch. No one cares about it.
You know what? Can I tell you though? Because I didn't get a chance to say this. My favorite scene in the entire movie was 2 seconds of Cap strapping the freaking shield on, dude.
All bloody and.
Oh yeah, dude. I found a better Chris Evans. I think if you look at like perfect casting, there's always going to be the two people they casted perfect for their roles, and that's going to be Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. I don't think you'll ever find any better casted people from what it is. And you're talking about two guys who have had crazy backgrounds between Robert Downey's personal feud outside of life and everything, and Chris Evans just having all these crazy ass roles between the Human Torch and the Losers and Scott Pilgrim, and he's had all these crazy roles, and then he gets Cap, and Cap was just the best role. I think it was the best movie ever made in his career. Obviously, it was. He did such a great job with it, and seeing him strap that shield on and then eventually grabbing Mjolnir, that was my favorite to this entire movie, because Cap's always. I definitely have a new found respect for the character itself through these movies as well.
Yeah, Ina Jane says Iron Man all the way. RDJ for the win. Drew2 says Doctor Strange was pretty spot on. Hemsworth's great. Loki great. Thanos great. Widow great.
Speaking of Loki, can we talk about how no one did anything when he just walked away with the Tesseract? I'm just saying.
Okay, so is that what his TV show on Disney Plus is going to be?
Yep.
I hope so. Please, let's do that.
Because that's the only thing. Because where else are they going to go with it? I mean.
Hey,
how genius was that though? Like, not only does he gets away with it, but then they have to put in. He has to go back in time even further, and like people have talked about, it was Tony Stark's opportunity to I don't want to say closure, but at least have that opportunity to have that moment with his father that he's expressed several times in different movies about how he never had a chance to say goodbye or say anything to him, and it was awesome seeing how they were able to fuse that in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was the most complete arc in all of the cinematic universe that's gone on so far. So yeah, they definitely needed that, and I would have been kind of angry if they didn't give him that satisfaction in the long run. So yeah, that was really good. And not only that, they threw in Jarvis too, his AI. So that was cool. That was awesome to see too.
Ruru2 says, I hope they do an animated TV series of Cap going through time, putting the gems back and fixing alternate realities. I thought that would left the door open for them to do another Cap movie with Chris if he ever wanted to.
Possibly.
It's just a way to have him come back into all the Disney Plus shows, because then he just like appears through time. Hey, what's up?
Exactly.
I'm just gonna put this here and then bloop, leave.
Yeah, you're just gonna like see him in the background, like placing things on mantles, like.
At the beginning episode, they're gonna have to say, "Find a where's Cap."
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Oh, Jane, though, I would have loved have a good fight with Red Skull there with the Soul Stone. That'd be legit.
So since that was brought up, that brings us up the thing. If you're putting the stones back in the time, I know they said it's irreversible, but is there like some altered universe somewhere in one of those timelines where Nat's still alive because he put it back before?
That's the type of time that they went off of. They went off multiverse time travel for this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why they said if you go in back in time and take the stones, it doesn't change what happened in the future because it just creates a new multiverse.
Mhm.
So they went totally comic book theme with this.
Yeah.
616 is the main prime, is what's called
Right.
the prime Marvel universe. And then there's different universes. They did the exact same thing with this. So yeah, of course there is one. There's if you want to look at it, there's probably an alternate universe where it's Hawkeye that dies, and so that's probably what they'll play more into when they have the animated series on Disney Plus with the What If series of cartoons coming out. They could probably do a whole What If season just based off of what if this happened in Endgame instead of this thing or something,
Yeah.
So that's probably going to become apparent. So when you guys were watching, because none of us were in the same theater seeing it, what was the biggest pop, the biggest crowd reaction on scene, and what was the biggest laugh?
All the ladies getting together at the final scene definitely had the loudest reaction in my theater.
Wow.
That was
For A-Force?
That
For
one,
A-Force?
that one was killer.
Awesome. Yeah. So I love that scene.
Yeah.
It's-
That scene,
yeah.
what that scene felt to me like from Russo's doing it and putting it together was going, so DC has Wonder Woman and you're really pushing women. Let's show what we have in terms of Marvel female characters that we've been.
I don't think that was the case at all. Like
That's
I
just what it felt like. It was like, you think you're one characters. Let's go.
Marvel doesn't have to measure themselves to DC in any way, shape, or form. Wonder
No, I
Woman or
know.
not. Like Marvel, they're not even the same playing field. Like I don't think that would have been a thought.
No.
Yeah, I think it was just Marvel just joining the women's revolution, evolution, whatever you want to call it, in cinema. It gave them that opportunity to not necessarily go against Wonder Woman, but just show what they do have. You are right to a point. To me, though, and I will say this, it seemed forced. Like it just seemed like did they really need to throw it in there? It was cool to see it, but did it have to happen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
I because your strongest characters. That's the other thing I loved about this, both with that scene and prior to that, is showing how powerful Scarlet Witch is. She is the most powerful Avenger, and that they started showing that she is the most powerful Avenger, and it might go into the storylines that happen with the comic books when you find out how much power she has because of what they started doing with that. Masonic, what was the biggest pop at your
No BS. It was when Cap grabbed Mjolnir.
Mhm.
That was the biggest pop. That when they happened, you could hear just people go, no. I mean, there was actually one guy go, oh shit, it's on. That's what he literally said, and it started laughing. And that's it.
That
It-
might
it was-
have been me. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what came out of my mouth.
and it wasn't like going to your buddy and going, oh shit, it's on. It was like, oh shit, it's on. And everybody just started going. It was that was, it's like almost standing ovation. You know, it was awesome.
what about you, Mind Freak?
So there's because I saw it twice. So there's actually a different pop in each movie, which I thought was great. So the first one, yeah, when Cap grabbed Mjolnir, I was like, oh, I had to be quiet because I didn't want to interrupt it for everybody. But the one where everybody in the first one, everybody cheers when Spider-Man just came through.
Mhm.
So of course, that was going to be one of them. But in the second one,
I was too busy crying during that moment to cheer.
the second one though, it was Cap grabbing Mjolnir and Thor being like, I knew it.
Hey, Ron.
The first time was, honestly, it was not just a huge thing, but it was like it started and then it rose and then it rose and then it rose and it went on for like 30 seconds. And it's when you heard Falcon say, on your left. And everyone started going, and then everyone started coming through the portals and they just went, they took it all the way up from 1 to 11 over the entire freaking thing. And just people were losing their minds when just everyone showed up.
Yeah, I just don't feel like our theater ever stopped once everybody showed, and that's just why, like I said, the one I really remember was when all the heroines got together, just because it was like constant cheer, and then I just felt like the place like erupted from my theater. What's crazy though is I know that was the same moment that happened in a couple other theaters, because as we were watching ours, like in the trailers, you heard another theater next to us light up and go nuts because they started about 2 hours prior, you know. So I was like, I bet you that was the moment they went off too. Like, it was just crazy to think about.
So first showing I went to, loudest by far, and like really loud, like everybody just went crazy, was Cap holding Mjolnir. The second time, the funny thing was Cap getting Mjolnir wasn't didn't have a pop at all. It was one group coming through, and it was Black Panther and Shuri and Okoye coming through that got the loudest pop. That's when people cheered the most. So it's just interesting as you get different showings and see it again and everything like that. Like the laughs changed on which one's got the biggest laughs as well. So
we had a lot of it seemed like quite a few of us had Cap, Mjolnir, Doctor Strange bring everybody through. So yeah, it looked like everybody was kind of on the same page with a lot of that too.
For comedy wise though, in both showings it was Captain looking at your ass, and that's America's ass, sir.
Yeah, that was a big laugh. That was a big laugh for sure.
The biggest laugh that mine got was the same in both showings, and it was Thor losing his mind on that Fortnite kid.
Yeah.
When he went bananas on that dude. Oh, Lebowski Thor is the best.
that was my favorite. Yeah. You guys have a favorite laugh?
Oh man,
there's so many good
man with the pin particles. We got 3 test runs, 2 test runs. I'm not cut out for this.
I couldn't stop with Thor, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
America's ass was great too.
Between the rant with the Fortnite guy and just freaking fat Thor. I mean, one of the things I always love about, or I was made fun of in a sense, was when the ladies would go there and, you know, he'd take his shirt off. I wasn't in a room with a bunch of ladies, but I guarantee I wasn't hearing everyone screaming, "Oh my God," because his big old belly. And man, that was some serious prosthetics, man. That looked legit, dude.
It did.
Oh yeah.
I just wish
everything.
I wish Disney would put the same effort into their CGI and aging makeup or aging that they do on the Marvel films with the Star Wars films, because the Star Wars films look horrendous on their fake CGI characters and their Grand Moff Tarkin and their de-aging Leia, and then
hold on a second.
I just wish they give it the same.
Grand Moff Tarkin and Leia were a hell of a lot better than Superman CGI.
That's Warner Brothers. It's the same company. So I just wish that the same company would give the same effort to both. That's all I'm saying. So emotional moments. How many times did you have onions being cut in your theater, and what scenes? I know Spider-Man was one for you, Big Papa Matt. Was there any others?
There was only 2, and they were both around Peter Parker. And first when he showed up, hugged Tony, and then when he just went and did the handshake with Ned at the end, man, I was just like, oh God, I need more Spider-Man. My heart can't handle this.
You're getting more Spider-Man, so we know that's coming. Aaron, in emotional moments, how many times you cry? When?
Ooh, Pepper Potts as well. Sorry, Aaron. Go ahead.
Yeah, the one that sticks out the most, because to be honest, I cried a lot, man. I really did. But the one that sticks out the most was the final scene with Happy that took it all the way back. When cheeseburgers.
That got me the second time. The second time watching it.
Dude, even right now, I'm like, your dad did love cheeseburgers, kid.
But I love that they gave that scene to Favreau because he directed Iron Man 1. I love that he got that.
He started it.
I know. And he threw that in not only because of his directing, but he threw it in because, I don't know if you guys know this, the story is that when Robert Downey Jr. first got out of rehab, the first thing he did was tell his cab driver, I need a goddamn cheeseburger right now. So he knew that story, and he used it to because Robert Downey Jr. was already in the role as Iron Man. He was already there. He was already committed 100%. And he used Downey's backstory to further ingratiate that character. And it was amazing. And to just bring it full circle like that at the end with his kid, oh my God. Forget about it. I was done.
Bearded Master cried a lot. He says, Spider-Man, Tony hug, Spider-Man, approaching dying Tony. Banner telling Cap and Bucky he wishes Nat was there. Favreau cheeseburgers. There's a lot of weeping going on.
Yeah.
From the moment when Strange held up, the one looking at Tony, and I was like, oh no. And then after that, from after Tony snapped, from all the way to the end, I was crying. Like, I'm just like, I'm just like, oh, like it hits, and it hit a lot of people.
I know it's dark, but I don't know if you guys can see this. I have the arc reactor going right now, and that's not just a shirt. That's keeping my heart in pieces, keeping it together. This thing, my soul has been wrecked.
It's proof that Aaron has a heart.
I'm just like every other person saying that pretty much the battle scene itself was just enough to bring tears and everything. Two particular spots that got me outside of the cheeseburger one, because one thing you learn is as you become a parent, there's a lot of other scenes that kind of make things happen. That was definitely one of them. The two that got me were Black Widow's death, just because it sucks seeing the original characters, especially because of Black Widow being one of my favorites out of the originals. There's Cap and her, just because of how her characters progressed. And then the other one was the actual conversation with Tony and his dad, and that one hug at the end. And you could see like his dad's like, what the hell? And he's got that look on his face and everything. But that got me right there because, I got a kid. I got a 9-year-old, man. I someday that conversation might happen too, So it just kind of hit those hearts a little bit,
Thanks, brother.
My two, yeah. When everybody first started showing up, it wasn't like it was emotional impact where it was just like goosebumps, and I started tearing up because just like, oh my God, we're there, everybody's here. And then when Tony died, I definitely teared up, and there was someone next to my wife straight up when Tony was dying going,
had that.
That might have been me too.
Yeah, we had a lot of people ugly crying in the theater when that was going on, man. It was rough. I mean, just like loud, you just heard people's like sleeves running across their noses, man. It was rough. It was rough.
Measles.
What I noticed the second time watching it was not as much loud crying, but the amount of noses going.
Or people scratching around their eyes probably and stuff, I'm not crying. I got allergies, man. Allergies are killing me.
So, I don't know. I think they did a fantastic job with the film. This was everything that I wanted from Infinity War. Big Papa Matt brought up to me before when I told him that we wouldn't have gotten this without Infinity War. So, yeah, I know it sets that up, but this was, I wanted consequences. I wanted, the payoffs, and this really, really gave that to me.
So why did we kill Tony then? I'm just saying, like, I get it, start and end with him, but he shouldn't have been the death. He had more to lose.
I agree.
I think he should have had the life. He should have been the one to live the life, man.
I think it's just, he's
fair point, Indiana Jane. Fair point for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what Indiana Jane's saying. Yeah, he doesn't want to do it anymore. He's done with it.
He doesn't have to though. We don't have to kill him if he doesn't want to do it.
No, and then Pepper's moving on. Like, she already said that she's done. She doesn't want to play Pepper Potts anymore at all.
Oh, so is that what it was with Paltrow? Because man, she was real quick to try to kill Tony. She's like, just go to sleep. You're okay.
We're okay. We're okay.
You're all right. We'll move on without you.
So actually, I thought about this too in between watching the cast and everything. Why would they kill him off? And it's kind of goes back to all the other shows and stuff, or all the movies and stuff. It goes all the way back to the first Avengers, or no, excuse me, first or second, whatever one, the second one, when they got kind of separated, where Cap went in front of him and said, "Yeah, you're not a soldier. For every one of you, I could tell you of 1,000 guys I met in World War I that would fall and lay their lives on, and everything like that." And so it pretty much kind of like sealed his character. How you guys were talking about how it gave him closure. That was exactly what we needed to see from Robert Downey Jr. or Iron Man himself, because he actually gave his life for everybody else. And that's why I think they did it. And now it allows them to open up for Pepper. And eventually, I do think that they're going to keep in with, if I'm not mistaken, they had The kid from Iron Man 3, he was in the background during the funeral. So there
I
could
had
be
to Google that. It was driving. I couldn't go to sleep till I
Yeah,
Googled that. It was driving me crazy.
there could be the possibility of passing on. There could be the possibility of passing on to his daughter. So it's not like
Shuri, man. Give Shuri the suit. She's the smartest, man.
Awesome.
Come on, that'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
But-
Shuri gets the
Shuri's
suit.
rescue.
Yeah, but that's exactly why they did it to Iron Man that way, and it put a perfect closing to it. It was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get it. Now, one thing for Black Widow did not impact me until the second time, and the reason being that I didn't. When you watch it a second time, when they go through the portal, she's the last one to say anything, and she's like, "See you guys in a minute," and then gives like a smile. And then when they're flying off to the planet to get the Soul Stone, her and Hawkeye are laughing and like, this is, and that once watching that the second time, knowing it was coming, I was like, okay, this is a lot more impactful now. I mean, it was impactful the first time, but the second time, seeing how happy she was to like, hey, we're finally gonna do this. We're finally getting this stuff in and just prepared. And then so
I think it also goes to the ties for Hawkeye and her in the movies too, because they were always close. And obviously, he wasn't in the last movie. It was a great way, once again, for their characters to kind of have that moment again. And it just, I mean, we know we're going to see her again, though. They're going to be doing her. origin
they got the Black Widow movie coming out.
Yeah.
So, or that they're working on. So, okay. So we've all seen the movie. We know our moments and stuff. We like I said, spoilers were abundant here. But this is now where theories come abound. Do you guys have any theories for where Phase 4 goes? Because this was really just kind of closing a book and now setting up the new chapters.
Oh, I've got a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me some, guys.
A lot.
Go, Aaron.
Well, to start, they're obviously going to be focusing a lot more on Captain Marvel, which is obvious because of how much they put into that movie to begin with, and how much they marketed her as the face of Phase 4. So that's obvious. But there are also there's oh god, I don't have the list in front of me. There's already like 3 or 4 other characters that they took from the B list and they're trying to make A list, the same way that they did with Iron Man back in 2008. So they're going to be beefing up not what they got from Fox and not what they got from the merger that just happened earlier this year. They're going to take more from the lower level rosters, like they did with Iron Man, like they did with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're going to take those and they're going to make them amazing. And I think that's going to be so much fun to see. People that aren't big names, the not Wolverines, the not Captain Americas, and they're going to take those people and they're going to make them big again. And
Totally.
they're gonna make them big for the first time, and that's going to be awesome.
Have to disagree 100% because now we have FX joining the world and now we get actual mutants in the Avengers world. The Marvel universe is finally complete, and I would love to see Phase 4 actually starting in on the mutant world. We have the Skrulls finally with Marvel, so we have all of our space exploration ready to go with Guardians and Thor out there. And what I think we'll see it within 5 years. We'll see another Fantastic Four get rebooted and redone the right way finally, and we'll see the Marvel finally taking on the mutant role, and we'll actually get a real, kind of those great Avengers versus X-Men movies and things like that the comic books have been crushing for the last 20 years.
I am hoping that they actually will take the merger, like Big Papa just said, redo Fantastic Four, bring in mutants, bring in X-Men and stuff. I really hope that they really get that Galactus theme going now, because that's really that's the major guy that's left is going to be Galactus. Super major guy. All right, let's go that way. That's going to be your end all. And I don't want to see Galactus as a big ass cloud. I want to see Galactus as a big ass person that they're taking on.
So with the Fox deal and the merger and all that stuff, it's just like Matt said. We're getting the mutants, getting Fantastic Four, but there's that lets me to believe, okay, who are they going to do next as the main villain? Because when you look at some of the big villains, yes, you have Galactus, yes, you have Thanos, but you have Doctor Doom, who fights pretty much everybody in the Marvel in the comic world. He's against the Fantastic Four, against the X-Men, against the Avengers. The other one too, the big one, and this is kind of where some of my thoughts have gone with the way Endgame was, King the Conqueror.
Yes.
Yes, and that's what we're bringing up in the chat room too. Now that you've introduced time travel as well, you can definitely bring King into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the other cool thing about this is, like you just mentioned, Doctor Doom. I just remember reading this a couple days ago and stuff. I think Doctor Doom is going to probably be one of the first villains that are actually going to possibly transcend before they start doing mashups, and he'll probably be one of the first ones that actually doesn't die off.
Well, I think for sure what's going to end up happening is they are going to take their time with these properties. I don't think they're just going to throw them out there. And, they're not just going to pop in right at the beginning of Phase 4 or anything like that. I think it's going to be, we want to get it done right. They're going to be putting Easter eggs, just like what they've been doing with Adam Warlock. We got to be getting Adam Warlock here at some point. There's been so many Easter eggs for so long about him that Eternals, I'm assuming he's going to pop up in Eternals. Fine.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, they're not going to change anything. Why break something that just broke records? It took them 10 years, and the culmination of the first freaking weekend, they make $1.2 billion off of one movie. So obviously, they're not going to do something stupid and just kind of reinvent the wheel. I think they're going to make subtle changes, and like I said, I think one of the things I really hope they do is they introduce a universal villain that can go from movie to movie, because that's the one thing that bugs me about a lot of these superhero movies is that the villains always get killed. Like Thanos was the first one, I think, in a sense that actually made it to the movie and made it to a second movie without having any issues or anything. I mean, other than Red Skull having a side thing, but that's what they had plans with Dark Knight, not to jump the other line, but with Heath Ledger's Joker, and it would have been so good. So I'm hoping that they try to make something where villain can go back and forth.
Well, Ruutu brings up a really good point in the chat room to get towards the Galactus thing, and that's introduce Silver Surfer in a Captain Marvel movie, and that can start planting the seeds for Galactus, and then you can start planting the seeds, because this was one theory that's out there, and I think this is really how it's going to go. Phase 4 is going to split off into two. You are going to have your space storyline, and you're going to have your Earth storyline. It's going to be two completely different storylines going on. They're not going to be intermerging with each other anymore or anything. That's what's you're going to have your just stuff going on with space and your stuff going on with Earth. And I think that's really where they're going to end up going with it. Now, I don't know if Disney Plus will be the Earth side and movies will be the space side, or how they're going to do it. But that's everything's under speculation, because they are not letting anything out of the bag outside of Spider-Man's right after Infinity War. Eternals is coming, and that's it. That's all they're telling. So
I mean, even though it's not, it's officially in there, but it's not. It'll be interesting to see if they added a little tidbits into Dark Phoenix that kind of introduce.
No,
you don't think so?
No,
they're not touching that at all.
Die. Yeah,
Oh,
the only franchise that might touch on that would be New Mutants, just because it's had so many rewrites and things like that. So,
yeah.
But
I think they're just doing those two films, and they're like, okay, the Fox mutants are done. Now let's start getting our game plan together.
Yeah. So I've got
Deadpool too.
Deadpool's gonna stay. Yeah, Deadpool's the only one that's gonna continue going the way he's going.
Yeah. So I got the list so far. So we know Spider-Man, and then after that we know Black Widow and Black Panther, Doctor Strange are in development with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then the Eternals, and then Shang-Chi. We keep forgetting that.
Shang-Chi, that was the one that I was trying to think of.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the TV series, you're going to have Hawkeye, Falcon and Bucky, and then Loki.
And Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, and actually something called WandaVision.
That's Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, and that's gonna be that time gap between the films where they were dealing with living together, and that's what that's going to end up being.
And then Hawkeye, I think, has something coming up too as well on Disney Channel. So, I mean, it's amazing.
Right now, Hawkeye's speculation. It's not officially firm.
Yeah.
Can you think about this for a second? 20 years ago, hell, even 10 years ago, dude, we weren't even talking about movies where we're going to have multiple mega superstars all at one time and doing whatever. I guess this is a good segue to what MCU's done to the world since then, is that they've been able to changed the way we look at movies and how they're able to make movies. Before, it was unheard of to have movies kind of integrate together the way they have. Like Star Wars, I guess, was the closest thing to it, and it wasn't even, So this is the first time where you're really seeing in time, kind of like, every time every movie's connecting to each other and they're setting up the next one, and there's different directors or different writers. This is unheard of. This is like all new territory that in the movie line. I mean, you see in television a lot, but this is simply movies, 2-hour movies separated from each one, all having different, directors and everything. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Well, they created a supergroup is what they did. It's like what was it? Velvet Revolver did. Took Scott Weiland. They took the best of so many different worlds and put them all together and made it work, and it turned out beautifully. So yeah, it's the interconnectivity of it, and it's majestic. It's beautiful, and I totally agree with you.
Bearded Master says that Hulu just ordered Ghost Rider and Hellstorm. Will they be connected? I don't think so, but it does bring an interesting aspect, because Disney is still in talks of buying Comcast's side of Hulu and then having full control. So they may end up turning Hulu into their more adult themed television shows in the Marvel universe, and then Disney Plus might be their more kid friendly and family friendly.
I don't think Disney will put anything adult out on a platform. They'll let a franchise or two do that kind of stuff, but I don't think they'll give a platform to it.
You don't think they'll do it on Hulu? You don't think they'll give their more
Disney loves Disney way too much for that. I personally, I mean, we do have someone that worked for Disney. I mean, Indiana Jane, if you want, I mean, she would probably know better than anybody.
Maybe saying adult is the wrong phrasing, but darker, a little bit more mature theme. I
could go with that. I could go with that.
So,
something other than a freaking 80s television show.
That'd be great.
Okay. So for you guys, before we get into the nerd fight really quick and we make our picks on what the best MCU character has been over the last 11 years for each person, any major impacts over the last decade of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or how they did this, or just anything for you personally? Big Papa Matt, you got anything?
For me personally, they brought superheroes into being cool, and I don't think I can thank them enough for that. That's something where, it was always kind of the kids alone at the tables, and every once in a while you had a cool athlete that might have a Superman shirt on. But other than that, superheroes were not cool. They never had been. They never were. They weren't a part of major zeitgeists. Mm-hmm. I don't care how many of your friends all were into comic books. It wasn't a mainstream media by any means. And Marvel made them cool again. And that, other than that, I mean, I don't know what else more they could have done.
I think it gave, for me personally, it gave me an opportunity to do something that my dad probably got to do with me as a kid, like going to see Star Wars and stuff like that, except you get it a lot more. When I'm a kid, you're watching, first movie comes out, and then 3 years later, the next one comes out, and then 3 years later, the last one comes out, and then we're done until 99. Whereas now, me and my kid, every time a movie comes out, we're going to watch it and everything, and it's awesome. It's something that, as time moves forward, it's things that we can talk about as I get older and stuff, and it really brought it to life, because we had to use our imaginations. We had to watch cartoons. That's the way we were able to kind of see our characters come to life. Taking out Superman original and Batman and everything. But that's how we really got to see our guys in the occasional television show. But it was all like outside the Incredible Hulk. It was all like Greatest American Hero and crap like that. So to actually be able to see something where it looks legit, it looks real, like holy crap, this thing looks like it could happen right now. It's awesome, and I know my kid enjoys watching the movies.
What about you, Mind Freak?
Growing up, younger, like early, like PlayStation and Xbox, gaming and all that kind of stuff. But then like going into like, the whole nerd side of everything, reading the comic books, going to the comic book stores, rifling through everything, just try to like read them, continue the story, figure out what's going on. So the fact that take something, I loved as a kid growing up, and then have the big nostalgia factor now as an adult going in instead of reading it. I'm watching the movies. I'm getting to sit there and enjoy them for a second time, and it helps me, you know, be able to appreciate the stuff I loved as a kid even more now as an adult because of the further understanding, but also like the intricacies and how in depth that these stories and everything throughout the entire MCU have taken us.
Yeah. And Aaron, do you got anything?
The most incredible thing that other than, because I went and saw the original Iron Man in 2008, and when he put that suit on for the first damn time, I was hooked. That was the most beautiful thing that I've seen. Just seeing it go from foot to head, and just that visor coming down and those lights coming on, it was the most beautiful thing. But now I have my kids, and I get to go see it with them, and I get to see them lose their shit in the theaters when something badass happens. And that to me is just, Marvel gave me that, and it's amazing. It's the greatest damn feeling that I've ever had, just to watch them in complete and utter awe.
And that's an interesting thing. Yeah. So you and Masonic Vader are both fathers. Masonic, what, 9?
Yeah.
9, and then your oldest is how old?
11 and 7.
So you guys are at that age where they literally grew up with these films. So I mean,
they've grown with what they started watching. I think the first film that I had them watch was the original Avengers. And it wasn't when it came out. It was when I think my daughter was about 7 and my son was 4. So around there is when I started in taking them on that journey. And now we go every single time there's a new movie out. And they're clamoring for it. My daughter was losing her mind all last year waiting for Captain Marvel. And it was beautiful to see her go and just be blown away by that movie.
What's up, Tuna?
And yeah, welcome Tuna Loon into the chat room, says, as in 9 children?
No, it's 9 Philip Rivers, man. Come on. You know what? There was one other thing that MCU did a phenomenal job of making me for the last 10 years. Make me actually feel comfortable spending freaking $40, $50 at the movie theater.
Right?
Before that, I'm going to pull out the walking stick and be like, man, I remember when I used to watch movies that were $4 or $5. Oh my gosh. But then there was a point where you're sitting there and you're going out on a date, or you go somewhere and you go to a movie and you're spending $60 for popcorn and everything, and you go out and you're like, that movie sucked, or was it? And I can't think of even the lackluster ones like Thor: Dark World. Regardless of what you thought of the movie itself, as far as the writing and everything, I still thoroughly enjoyed the entertainment value of it and seeing what was going on there and stuff. And that's one thing that the MCU has definitely brought to the screen. I think it's that same impact that I had as a kid watching Star Wars. Star Wars was the freaking greatest thing in the world, and they didn't have CGI and all that craziness. And I think that's what we're getting now for my kids' generation, is like, holy crap. I mean, this is incredible. What are they going to do when he gets older? It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. For me, there's 2 things that I can say that that MCU major impact had. One, they actually made a film universe. Before this, it was always like, how can you do that? You can make a sequel here, that you can't tie all these films together. You can't. And they pulled it off. They did it. Everybody said they were crazy. They said they weren't going to be able to do it. It was going to be a big flop. And they showed that it can be done as long as you meet what the fans are looking for. You give good stories. You cast the right people. They actually put full intentions in there to make a quality product. It wasn't just a cash grab. And now all these other studios are trying to do that as well. The other thing that MCU did, MCU really, really created the new era of panels for Comic-Con. When the Avengers were first brought out, all of them on. Since then, it's been a whole different platform on how panels go at Comic-Con, the way that people come out, the way they interact. I went to the first San Diego Comic-Con I went to, the Iron Man 3 panel was happening, and there was no notice of that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be there or anything like that. So we're trying to figure out what to do. And my wife decided to go to Ballroom 20 for Simpsons and Futurama panels. And I'm like, I'm going to go over and check out Hall H for the day and see what's going on there. And I stayed for the Iron Man 3, and people were leaving because they're like, oh, there's not going to be any big names or anything. And Robert Downey Jr. came walking through the audience with the Iron Man hand on, acting like he was shooting it, and was like, and it was such a new experience seeing these people right in front of you, interacting with you, having fun, and embracing the characters they're doing. And it really created what Comic-Cons are now, based off of this, how this universe approached it, to the point that Feige will even say, hey, I'm not bringing Marvel to any conventions unless we have something good to show, unless we have something that's worthwhile, because he doesn't want to come with a lackluster thing. He doesn't want to get beat out by any other panels. So
yeah, that is definitely a thing that they did for actors as well, because most of the time actors have their 1 or 2, possibly 3 times to play a character. They don't really have the ability to embody the characters the way that the Marvel Universe actors have. Robert Downey Jr. over the past 10 years literally became Iron Man, and Iron Man became him. And the two are now utterly inseparable, as are Captain America and Chris Evans, as are Thor and Chris Hemsworth. They're so intertwined because they've been doing them for so long, and they've been doing them so well, and they've been doing so much for the fans outside of the movies that it's a whole new level that you didn't even see Sean Connery over the however many James Bond films he did. He didn't really embody that character the way that these people are, and it's amazing to watch.
Yeah. And to go with your comment earlier, Big Papa Matt, Tuna Luna in the chat room also says, where'd it go? I love that Marvel has normalized this geekdom. I remember being in school and being teased for going to midnight releases to X-Men and Star Wars. And yeah, that's not a case anymore because of this. Yep. So.
Amen.
You know what? And I think something else that it's actually done is something to actors. I don't think, for example, there was a lot of what's his name who played the original Spider-Man? I don't want to play Spider-Man anymore. I want to do something.
Whoa! Don't you talk about Toby like that? Dude. He's earned his respect.
He didn't want to play Spider-Man anymore because they made him an emo kid.
But I mean, but the whole thing is
there's nothing wrong with emo kids, West. All right, I have a lot of photos.
There's nothing wrong with emo kids. There's something wrong with emo Peter Parker.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of actors that had that whole I don't want to play this character anymore. It's a superhero. It's whatever. I'm more than that. I'm an actor. Blah blah blah. And all these people have, like you said, embodied them, have cherished them, has taken what they got. I mean, for God's sake. Robert Downey Jr. went from being busted for drugs and stuff to making $100 million.
Let's not forget the number one, guy of all time to make anything cool, Han Solo. Harrison Ford hated being Han Solo, but we all love him.
You wanted him to die multiple times.
After the first movie.
But it's awesome to see that actors now have a better appreciation and they don't sound like a bunch of freaking.
But to go with your point, look at the actors even with the MCU. Terrence Howard wanting I need more money to play Rhodes, and
peace out.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
And then Edward Norton doing the same exact thing. If he would have stuck with it for the Hulk, it just.
Well, I think Norton wanted more control over the character, and
he wanted to have more control.
That's fair because the way that they did him in the freaking the movie was, it was kind of not cool. It could have been so much better if because the path that he wanted to take the Hulk on was very similar, from what I understand, to the path that they took it with Ruffalo. So it could have been awesome, but say love you.
Yeah,
we got.
They're all saying Mark Ruffalo all the way. They're saying that's because Terrence Howard sucks in the chat room.
I actually liked the Edward Norton movie. I hated Edward Norton as the Hulk.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's our speculation. That's where the impact is. Any thoughts that you guys have? If you're listening to this on Stitcher, if you're checking it out on iTunes, if you're watching this on YouTube, look it up under Malice Corp or All Things Nerd. You should be able to find us with those two. And make sure you're subscribing, that you're dropping reviews and comments. Let us know what your thoughts are on the topics that we talked about. So last thing before we head out, just have a quick little nerd fight. That will let you guys vote over for the next 2 weeks. It'll end up popping up on malice-corp.com and go live on Sunday. And you just vote who you think is the best character from the Marvel Cinematic Universe based off of what is picked from this group of people here. And you can throw out your thoughts in the chat room as well if you want to throw in so we can get 2 more from the chat room into the fight. Because it's our 100th episode, the way I was going to do this was based off of the newcomers. The people that have been here the least amount of time will get the first picks, and the veterans will get the last pick, which means I will have the last pick on this cast. But that means that Mind Freak will have the first pick. And Mind Freak, who is the best character in the MCU, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Hands
You
down.
just say Thunderbolt Ross.
Dickhead.
Yeah, I know. I hear from him on a daily on Wednesday nights for Malice for the Smack Talk. So, no, I'm gonna say it. The guy that started all, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. He is Iron Man, and pretty much we wouldn't have this entire cinematic universe without Iron Man.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So your first pick is going to be Iron Man. Masonic Vader, you would have the next pick. Who is your best MCU character?
Oh well, thank goodness! And I get to go with my favorite. I'm going to go with good old Captain America. I think out of all the movie, well, we're not going to talk about discrimination.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can.
Captain America.
Go ahead. Give us your rebuttal.
No. That's next week.
No spoilers. Yeah. But okay. So he was here at the beginning, but then he bowed out and he came back. So we're gonna let him go with the next pick. Aaron.
Oh, all right. Well, honestly, best overall for me is Loki.
Okay.
I like it. I like the way that they structured him. I thought he was amazing. I thought he was brilliantly done. I thought Tom Hiddleston was the perfect casting, even better so than Robert Downey Jr. was, because Hiddleston brought something to Loki that he didn't get in the comics. He didn't get in any other medium, which was a gross likability. He just made the character so goddamn charming, and it made me angry sometimes. But at the same time, I was like, he's amazing at what he does.
And
You hate the fact that you love him.
I do. I hate
that. Big Papa Matt.
Yeah. So as far as embodying MCU, obviously Tony Stark, number one choice. But when your first round pick goes first, man, that's a thing. But as far as embodying the character, I would love to go with my guy Peter Parker, but I can't because T'Challa, man, what they've done with Black Panther is other level amazing right now. His universe is by far one of the richest, well developed in the MCU right now. And I'm giving it up to Black Panther, man. T'Challa all the way.
I thought you were going to say Happy Hogan.
You thought I was, but see, that's why you're number 2.
I'll do you one better. Why?
What even better?
Before I get to mine, Jack Moss, our producer in the chat room, says Thor. So Thor will be the producer pick. And if anybody else wants to throw out a pick in the chat room, Rurutu, Stanley, absolutely. But I don't know if that's he's not a character. He is the
Uatu, the Watcher.
Yeah. So, but no, for me, just because of not expecting as great of a character as he played, not expecting him to come out of and just crush it and destroy it with this character, and how fantastic he does it. My favorite character, since you guys took all my favorites, is Drax the Destroyer. I love Drax. Yeah. So followed by Korg, but Drax is definitely my favorite. So that's what we got for our picks. So the nerd fight will start on Monday. You have Captain America, you have Thor, you have Iron Man, you have T'Challa, and you have Drax.
and you said one other person from the chat room too. You said 2 people, right? So they got
Shuri. Shuri's the other one. So Indiana Jane says Shuri.
So I don't know if that was a vote from her, but yeah, we'll take it. I was gonna put Mary Poppins, y'all, but you know that's.
So yeah, that's it for this week's cast. Thank you guys for being here for 100 episodes. We appreciate all the help and support that you give us, and make sure to follow this cast wherever you can listen to it, wherever you can watch it. Drop comments, reviews, whatever. It helps bring people back and see what we're doing here, and we appreciate you guys so much. Let's talk about where you can follow everybody outside of this cast. If you want to talk about MCU and Avengers Endgame spoilers and whatnot with everybody outside of here, Big Papa Matt, where can people follow you outside of this cast?
You can follow me at the Big Papa Matt on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow me at Just a Nerd Couple on Instagram and Twitter. Also, a couple of great podcasts that you can check out as well. Nerd Mosh Pit and Comics for All, and you can find us at Comics for All or at All for Comics on Twitter.
What about you, Mind Freak? Where can people follow you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at MindFreakMLG. You guys can also follow me right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/BTVMindFreak. I'm currently in the process of building my streaming PC, so my stream is going to be up and coming here very, very soon. And just because he always gets to say it, I'm going to steal this one. You can also find me and Masonic Vader 71 on Wednesday nights right here for Malice Smack Talk.
Masonic Vader, you want to back up his comments? Where do you want to?
No, good. Actually, there's a bearded master in there too. He's had some good chats on our Twitch chat today, so don't forget him as well. But you can follow me, Masonic Vader, on Twitter, and Masonic Vader 71 on the PlayStation Network.
And Aaron, where can people follow you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at DOS Newport Kid, and on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network as well at DOS Newport Kid as well.
And once again, if you guys want to interact with any of us at any time, come drop some fun gifts, drop memes, little stories that you find, anything interesting, head over to Facebook, facebook.com/groups/all things nerd podcast. We're always dropping things in there. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at @mest_Malice Corp, or you can follow me on Instagram at mest5150, and you can follow this podcast on Twitter at All Nerd Podcast. Once again, thank you guys. 100 episodes. Hopefully we get to 200, and you guys keep nerding on, and we will see you next Friday.
Later.
Yes.